Buongiorno tutti quanti e benvenuti a lezione 27 di Italian for Beginners. In questa lezione parleremo di 6 verbi importanti, i verbi modali dovere, potere e volere e 3 verbi aggiuntivi irregolari che sono anche molto comuni, dire, uscire e venire. Questa sezione del libro comincia con il dialoghetto a pagina 89. Leggiamo insieme e poi vi mostrerò i verbi nel dialogo di cui parliamo oggi. Simone: vuoi uscire stasera, Daniela? C'è un bel film al cinema Diana. Daniela: no, non posso, devo studiare. Simone: domani sera allora? Daniela: no, devo andare a una riunione. Simone: tu non hai mai tempo per me, devo cercare un'altra ragazza. So here are the verbs that we're talking about today. If they don't make sense to you, that's because we haven't covered them yet, and you'll understand them just fine by the end. So today we're going to talk about modal verbs. Modal verbs are a linguistic thing that expresses modality. Modality is a concept that's pretty broad, and it has to do with intentions, abilities, beliefs, and obligations, among other things. So the difference between modal verbs and regular verbs is that modal verbs are kind of almost a structural element of the language more than actually having real meaning in and of themselves. It's about what you can do, what you want to do, what you're going to do, what you have to do. So those can then be applied to any specific verbs. So the verbs we're going to be learning today are dovere, which means to have to, or it also corresponds to must, and also means to owe. That's a less common usage of it, but that's also what it means. Potere is to be able to do something. It's used to mean can or can't. Volere is to want. So to conjugate dovere, this is to have to or must or need to, those kind of things all translate as dovere. Io devo, tu devi, lei, lui, lei deve, noi dobbiamo, voi dovete, and loro devono. Potere is a little different. These are all irregular and none of them follow a pattern. Io posso, tu puoi, lei, lui, lei può, noi possiamo, voi potete, and loro possono. And presente di volere, to want. Io voglio, tu vuoi, lei, lui, lei vuole, noi vogliamo, voi volete, and loro vogliono. So let's talk a little bit about how we're actually going to use these verbs in a sentence. Like preferire, which we discussed previously, dovere, potere, and volere are all followed by an infinitive of another verb. So, vuoi uscire stasera? Do you want to go out tonight? Non posso uscire stasera. I can't go out tonight. Devo studiare. I have to study. Sometimes the infinitive is only implied. So you'll hear things like mi dispiace, non posso, just like in English, I'm sorry, I can't, without saying the infinitive itself if what it is clear from context. Do you want to go out tonight? Sorry, I can't. Volere can also be used as a normal transitive verb that means to want something. So you can say, voglio una nuova macchina, la mia è troppo vecchia. You can also say, voglio comprare una nuova macchina, I want to buy a new car. So English modal verbs are different from Italian ones, and they are different from other English verbs as well. So there are more modal verbs in English than there are in Italian, and they're set apart from other verbs by the fact that they have no infinitive. They typically have no past participle, and they don't take the normal third person singular ending like other English verbs. I'm going to show you what these are on the next slide, so don't worry too much about committing all this to memory. It's more just a little background. English modals are expressed in different ways in Italian. Since there are more of them, not all of them fit neatly into the three that we just covered. So English modals will be expressed using some form of dovere, potere, or volere. Alternatively, they may be expressed by using a particular tense or mood of the main verb, and we'll discuss those usages when we get to the part of the course that covers those tenses and moods. It can also be accomplished by adding other words to the sentence, often adverbs or particles. A particle is a word that doesn't necessarily carry a ton of its own meaning, but affects the meaning of the rest of the sentence. So, for example, if you ask me a question and I say, yes, that means a different thing from if I say, yes. Is a particle. So that can be one thing, adding other words to a sentence, or again, some combination of the above. So here's a little chart that, again, don't worry about committing this to memory so much. I just kind of want to give you an overview of kind of the different ways that these things get expressed. So on the left, you can see all the English modal verbs that I could think of. And on the right is how we can express those things in Italian. So in English, if we say can, that's simple, that's the present tense of potere. Could means two different things. So could in the past sense, like I wanted to see if I could go to the post office, is a past tense of potere. Could in a conditional sense, like I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to, is the conditional mood of potere. Again, like I said, we'll cover that when we get to the part of the course that talks about the conditional mood. May. The word may is usually covered by some other marker of uncertainty. Forse means maybe, può darsi means maybe, magari means maybe, probably. Could also be the subjunctive mood of the main verb with those other words. Same thing with might. May and might are kind of similar in meaning, so they would be handled in a similar way. Shall would be covered by the future tense of the main verb. Will would also be the future tense of the main verb. I skipped a row there. Should would be the conditional mood of dovere. Meaning, basically, should meaning would have to, but might or might not. Would be the conditional mood of the main verb. Again, we'll cover that when we talk about the conditional mood. And ought would be the conditional mood of dovere as well. So, like I said, my goal isn't so much for you to commit this entire table to memory, but kind of to see that this concept of modality is handled differently in the two different languages, and you can't necessarily rely on a direct word-for-word translation to make all of these English modals happen. And I also just wanted to give you kind of an overview of how much of this you can expect to know or be able to produce at this point in learning. Because right now, I guess I put can on the list here. I didn't put must on the list, which is the present tense of dovere. We have a lot of modal verbs in English. I keep thinking of ones I left off the list. And then to want to is kind of a modal verb. It doesn't follow the pattern of the rest of the English modals in that it does add an S at the end in the third person. It does have a past tense. It does have all that stuff. One other thing I wanted to cover in this section is the difference between volere and avere voglia. Volere means to want something or to want to do something. Voglio un caffè, I want coffee. Cristina vuole uscire stasera. Christina wants to go out tonight. Avere voglia di qualcosa is a little different. And the difference is more of a difference of tone than it is of literal meaning. So it would translate more to feel like or to feel like doing something. Ho voglia di un caffè. I feel like a coffee. Hai voglia di uscire stasera. Do you feel like going out tonight? So yeah, I mean, to want, to feel like, those are pretty similar meanings, but there is that slight difference in tone that volere I feel like volere expresses a level of intent that avere voglia doesn't necessarily have. It's like, I want to, I'm going to, ho voglia, I feel like it. I don't know. It's subtle. So the next verbs that we're going to talk about are dire, uscire, and venire. So the present tense of dire means to say or to tell. Io dico, tu dici, lei, lui, lei dice, noi diciamo, voi dite, and loro dicono. Uscire means to go out or to exit. Io esco, tu esci, lei, lui, lei esce, noi usciamo, voi uscite, loro escono. And finally, venire, to come. Io vengo, tu vieni, lei, lui, lei viene, noi veniamo, voi venite, and loro vengono. So dire is often used with che. Federico dice che non può venire stasera. Federico says he can't come tonight, or Federico says that he can't come tonight. In Italian, you're always going to use che to mean that. In English, we sometimes drop it like that. Federico says he can't come tonight. In Italian, you would always say Federico dice che non può venire stasera. Venire can be used in the same expressions as andare and generally speaking with the same prepositions. So, quando vieni in Italia? When are you coming to Italy? Vengo a casa verso le 6. I come home around 6. Uscire means to go out, to leave, or to exit. So there are a couple points here. Other words that are translated as in similar ways are partire and lasciare. Partire and lasciare are mainly translated as to leave. Another one that's not covered here that you probably won't hear for a while is andarsene. That also means to leave. And that means to kind of depart in a more general sense. Uscire means to leave, go out, or exit. That's kind of a good way of describing it. Partire per some place indicates leaving for somewhere, whereas uscire, which goes with the prepositions di or da, emphasizes the departure, the act of leaving or going out. Lasciare is also translated to leave, but it also means to leave something or someone behind. The sense is very much, the emphasis is on leaving something behind rather than on departing. You wouldn't use this to mean to depart. It also means to leave a spouse or lover. And then before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on the verb riuscire. Riuscire is conjugated like uscire. It's conjugated like uscire in every tense and every mood, just with the ri tacked on the beginning. And it means to succeed or to manage to do something. Sometimes this verb is used to express an idea of capability. So sometimes riuscire will be used in the sense of I could or couldn't do something, or I can or can't do something. So for example, non riesco a capire la lezione would literally mean I don't succeed to understand the lesson, which obviously in English is a little clumsy. So we would probably translate it as I can't understand the lesson. So riuscire is a very idiomatic way to say, to express that you can or can't do something. Especially non riesco a fare qualcosa is I can't do something. And so that's about it for this lesson. The compiti for the next lesson are the esercizi on page 91. I'll post the exercise key in the description of the video. Now the next lesson is going to be unit C, which is direct object pronouns. So that's exciting, because then we'll start to be able to talk about not just what we're doing, but who or what we're doing it to. So if you don't have the textbook, here it is. I just want to encourage you to pick it up if you can. So that's it for this lesson. If you found this useful, please subscribe to my channel to make sure that you don't miss the next one. If you have any questions or comments about the content of this video, please leave them in the comments. And I always appreciate corrections from native Italian speakers. So if you're a native speaker and you notice that I said something wrong, please let me know and I'll call it out in a future video. So yeah, that's it. Subscribe to my channel and I will see you in the next video.